Hey everyone, and welcome to the first video of my recently acquired BMW Z4M Coupe. I got this car delivered during the week. It's now Sunday. The car was dead on arrival. Essentially the battery was flat. We jump started it, we moved it onto the drive. I left it running for about 30 minutes as I had a look around, and the car has been sat since. So in this video, we're going to take it on its first drive, get some initial impressions, what I think of the car. Full disclosure, I did drive around about 4 hours to go and view this particular example. I gave it a short drive then and was happy enough to make the purchase after testing a few Z4M Coupes. The car is a project car, so it's got some issues and idiosyncrasies that will need addressing and fixing, and hopefully we'll gain some insight on that with regards to the first drive. So I thought we would start the video in the car. We would start it up to see whether or not it's still working. So let's give that a shot. Cool, it springs to life. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to baby it to the nearest petrol station because we're nearly empty, get some heat in the car, and you'll join me on some driving road shortly. See you there. So you join me fresh out of the petrol station with a full tank of fuel and a warmed up engine. So just a little bit of detail about this car. It's a 2007 BMW Z4M Coupe in titanium silver. It's done just over 94,000 miles and came with a full service history. It was one of the cheaper BMW Z4Ms in the country, probably because it's had some modifications done to it. Nothing immediate shouts that it's had anything done to the engine. Everything under the bonnet looks as it should, but it's had stuff like parts of it wrapped, alloys painted, so on and so forth. And we'll go through the list of things that I have found that are wrong in this video, and we'll go through them in a bit more detail in another video, so this video doesn't end up being super long, where we do a walk around of the car. So what's my first impressions? Well, what's immediately apparent when you compare this to a brand new Toyota Supra, almost said Z4 then, is this car is a lot more firm, which is to be expected. It's just firm suspension. It's a sports car. It's not adaptive like the Supra. One thing I did notice when pulling into the petrol station at slow speeds, there is a slight grinding clunkiness coming from the front suspension, so that needs looked at. And despite it having a full service history, there's nothing to suggest that the suspension has been looked at all. Z4Ms, I don't want to say it's a common problem because probably only a small fraction of the cars ever suffer from it, but it's enough of a problem to get people on forums talking about it. The suspension on this car can be a bit of an issue, especially the rear springs. The car is sitting right on the ground, seems equal, but yeah, it just seems very firm, and that slight grinding from the front. So the next thing I want to talk about is the steering. The steering feels nice and tight. The wheel is in pristine condition, which is a rarity for these cars. BMWs from this era tend to get really grotty steering wheels, but this one seems to have been recently refurbed. So yeah, the steering wheel, nice and chunky, just like other M Sport wheels. I prefer them to the thinner steering wheels, in honesty. This is a hydraulic rack in this car, so the steering's quite direct and hard at slow speeds. However, there's not much steering feel, if that makes sense. And I think if you're going to have a car that doesn't communicate that much steering feel anyway, it might as well be with a nice chunky steering wheel. But yeah, with regards to steering, it's nice, tight, direct. However, it's pulling ever so slightly to the left, and I think that has something to do with the tyres on this car. So the tyres are kind of a hodgepodge. The rear are Continental Sport contacts. One is really well worn and one is practically new. And in the front, they're both no-namers. And again, one is close to its legal limit and the other one is fairly recent. So because of that, the car seems to pull to the left, I feel. So the car pulls really well. And that's one of the reasons I went for this particular car over others that I viewed and test drove. The engine in this just seemed tighter and a bit more responsive. Probably because its service history has been kept on top of. That being said, with my last BMW Z4M Coupe, I went out of my way and did some preemptive maintenance and did the inspection too, although one had recently been done on it. It was just for my own peace of mind, and I think I might get that done on this car as well, considering its mileage. So let's talk about the condition of the car. The exterior paintwork's pretty good. There's nothing untoward for the age of the vehicle. There's some scratches and blemishes, a lot which we'll probably just buff out. And then there's the odd dent. The alloys seem to be in okay condition. They've been sprayed gloss black. The paint job looks okay, but on closer inspection, there is some, I guess, bad touch-ups. There's also a little bit of flaking on the near side front wheel as well. I have ordered a new set of tyres for this. They get installed sometime next week. Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, all round. So hopefully I'll be more comfortable giving it a bit of beans once those are on the car. And it should hopefully rectify the slight lean to the left in the steering. The roof has been wrapped in gloss black to match the wheels. It looks pretty good. The quality of the wrap, however, it's starting to show its age. It's peeling slightly in one corner. So if I want to maintain the look and make it neat, that'll have to be removed and redone. The mirrors have also been wrapped at some point as well. However, when it's been removed, some of the wrap still remains around the contact point with the car. I'd like the mirrors to actually be gloss black, so I might get new mirror caps or get them wrapped. The badges on the car, so the BMW emblems, they're a bit tatty. The front one is missing, so one of them needs to be ordered. The ones on the indicators are a bit scuffed, and the one on the rear hatch is slightly misaligned. So I think a new set of emblems all round is needed. And as for the M badges, the ones on the front wings are faded, and the one on the rear seems to be some aftermarket one. The original came in the glove box, so they will need refreshing at some point. Also the center caps and the M badges for the wheels. So the M badges for the wheels are completely gone, and the center caps are some black aftermarket BMW ones. So I've ordered replacement center caps and M badges for the wheels. Another thing to point out is the exhaust tone. So I owned a BMW Z4M Coupe in silver grey, and that exhaust sounded quieter, a bit less metallic. This sounds a bit raspier. Could be a problem with the exhaust. I've not been into the car to check. The exhaust also slightly hangs to the left. Chances are one of the hangers is balked, but won't know until I get under there. Could be the case it's had an aftermarket exhaust put on badly. I know a lot of aftermarket exhausts for the Z4M tend to keep that OEM look, because the back box itself looks stock but might not necessarily be stock. So moving on to the interior, it's in pretty good shape in all fairness. The only modification that's been done is the door handles or the door grabs have been wrapped in carbon fibre. It doesn't match the carbon fibre leatherette effect that the Z4M Coupes can be optioned with, but it's done okay. Whether or not I keep it, unsure yet. It's low on my list of priorities for now. The sat-nav works, even came with the original BMW disc. Aircon works, heated seats work, the memory functions and the electric seats work every which way. Possibly the two gripes I have with the interior, oh in fact no, there's more than that, there's about 4. So the spectacles holder works fine when opening it, but it's very, very hard to close. I had the same issue on my last Z4M, and that turned out to be a small missing spring that was stopping the clip from returning and latching. The glove box, common fault on these. The rear hangers seem to deteriorate after a while, so when you open the glove box fully, it can go a bit wonky. So that needs looking into. The rear trim in the boot seems to have been removed from the hatch itself and not put back in the right order. So that should just be a simple take out and put back together to fix. Then we have a missing plug grommet thing on the center tunnel. Might just be under the seat. It was a similar case in my last Z4M. Then in the boot, the battery cover is missing its twist locks. And to be fair, I've not seen any Z4M with them on a forecourt at a dealership anyway. So they'll need replacing if I decide to do that. And I guess finally for the interior, and this was the same again in my last one, and it doesn't help that I'm a larger guy as well, is there's a few creaks and rattles. A lot probably coming from the seats, just rubbing up against other interior trim pieces. But other than that, it looks good. A lot of people would probably drive this car day to day and not bat an eyelid at these things. I'm just saying, like, if I want this car to be perfect and get it back to its original condition and build on top of that, those things might need addressing. Pulls really good. So it's a ZF 6-speed transmission in this, and a lot of people hate it, and I'm not the biggest fan. In my last Z4M, I had the clutch delay valve removed, and that made transitions from first to second a hell of a lot smoother. If you have the sport mode button engaged and you try and shift from first to second, you're gonna have a bad time. You've got to really baby it in that mode. So I tend to have sport mode disabled unless I know I'm gonna be driving in third, fourth and second. So B-road driving. But out and about and around town, sport mode is turned off in this. At slow speeds, it's just that in combination with the gearbox is just not complementary. The brakes feel really good. They're in half decent condition and there's loads of meat left on the pads. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my first proper drive in this Z4M Coupe. It's been about 3 years since I last owned a Z4M, and I've missed it ever since I sold it. Since then I've owned a couple of F-Types, an Abarth, and most recently the new Toyota Supra. And the Supra reminds me of this car a lot. So when it came to thinking of a project car to go alongside the Supra, this made perfect sense. I enjoyed the car a lot, and it seemed about the right level and price that I wanted to get into when it comes to doing work myself and modifications on it. So hopefully you'll join me for this journey. If you could hit that like button and subscribe if you can, that would be grand. I'd really love to get to that first mental milestone of 1,000 subscribers. It enables me to do a lot more. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Keep a lookout for another video shortly on the exterior and the walk around of the car. And if you've got any feedback or anything that you would like to see on the BMW Z4M Coupe or the new Toyota Supra, then say so in the comments. That's it from me. Take care. Bye now.